Welcome to a new episode of Melt. I'm Ritvika Gupta. This week, we are continuing our series of conversations with India's leading creative communications, marketing, and production agencies to understand the road ahead for advertising and marketing in the country. Today, we'll be talking to a legacy full-service agency, DDB Mudra Group, which started operations in 1980 and was acquired by the Omnicom Group in 2011. With a talent count of over 600 people, the agency is driven by the dynamic philosophy of unexpected works and has built a reputation for creativity that delivers results. To know more, Anant Rangaswami, editor of Melt, will be speaking with Aditya Kanthy, Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director, and Rahul Mathew, Chief Creative Officer. Let's get ready to melt with Team DDB Mudra Group.
Hello, morning both of you.
Hi, morning.
Last few weeks we've been having conversations fundamentally about the pace of change and the change in your side of the business, not the whole Markham business, how agencies are changing or digital shops are changing and so on. So I want to start with you. Tell me about DDB. How has it changed in the last 5 years? If you had to take a pause, go to sleep in 2017 and wake up in 2022, what has changed?
I have to go back even further. I've been at the company now close to 20 years. So I have that perspective of the additional perspective of those 15 years leading up to 2017. But I think the one big shift that we've seen is in the leadership and an acknowledgement of the fact that things have to change. And that's where it starts. I think if you sit, even for someone who's been at the company at that point 15 years and rest on your laurels or are complacent about the success that you've had or the things that worked up to that point in time, your incentives to change don't exist. I think between Rahul and me, the one big thing we've tried to do at the company consistently is to accept the fact that we have to make an effort to change things if we are going to be successful, right? Regardless of what the barriers might be and the pride or the baggage around what made the agency successful in the past. And that's not easy to do, by the way, because you've got, it's easy if you're a terrible company. It's hard if you've got something going to risk some of that, to take a serious shot at that change. So I would say that's one big shift at the agency where in the last 5 years, I think starting 2017, the belief that we have to push, do things differently, challenge every aspect of our work. Even the standard of work that we've set, Rahul and I are very kind of conscious of the fact that while there has been improvement over the last 5 years, I still don't think we're the best version of ourselves. And that's what keeps us going. So you see that in the people, you see that in the kind of conversations at the agency, you see that in the kind of clients that we have attracted, acquired, our relationship with our oldest clients as well. Every aspect of the agency, and I think is driven by that, the acknowledgement that we are far from the finished article, and that if you don't change the fundamentals of how we do stuff, we're not going to be able to attract the kind of talent that we need to. We're not going to be, more importantly, find a way of working that is in line with the times, because it's a very challenging environment. It's exciting. There's lots of opportunity, but it's also very trying the last 2 years for different reasons. But overall, even in the agency business, the structure of the business is quite different from how it was in the past. So,
Rahul, tell me, in client conversations, how have they changed from 2017 to 2022? What were clients asking for then? What are they asking for now? For example, a common thing one hears is clients want a lot more measurement of everything, even of a TVC, which is unusual. But tell me, what are the changes in the conversations you have with clients?
So I'm not sure that the need for, and I'm not going to use the word measurement, but the need for effectivity has ever been different. I think it's always been a need to know if something is effective. I think it's the measures of it that may have changed, but it's always been the same. Right now, what clients are trying to see is they do want to see how there's a bigger footprint for the brand and what it's doing, what is the communication doing for that. But I do feel today clients are looking at us to have a more consistent tone of voice that is actually leading to impact. The word impact today has a very serious meaning and a need in the client's business. And we're also aligning ourselves as a company towards giving more of that. So we're seeing more clients who are probably dabbling in that. We're seeing more clients who are willing to take that step forward in that direction, which puts pressure on us. We like the pressure that when a client looks at you and says, but is this too expected? It gives us a good step to take forward in terms of the kind of work we do.
Aditya, one of the common threads in conversations is this whole challenge where clients want far more short-termism and far less long-termism, far more bottom of the funnel, far less top of the funnel. How is that impacting the way you guys think and the kind of people who are required to execute bottom of the funnel, which is distinctly different from top of the funnel?
That's a great point. And in addition to that pressure on integration and learning what's happening on digital, which has been our reality over the last 5 years and client reality over the last 5 years, the pressure on time and money is huge as well from a marketing budgets point of view, a campaign planning point of view. Things are fluid, things move very quickly. So this is a real problem. And I think agencies at their best, the real value that we deliver is in long-term brand value. And we have to find a way to get through. You can't do that with theory. You can't do that with platitudes. You have to do that through the work that you produce, every shot that you get at it over a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year time frame. And that's becoming harder and harder, partly because of the churn on client side as well, partly because of that short-termism that you talk about, because you can't wait really now for 4 quarters before your work starts to talk. It has to happen in a few weeks. The amount of time and money that was being invested in doing quote-unquote brand building work is getting questioned in many serious ways. Having said that, I think there is more recently in the last 2 or 3 years, and interestingly enough, I think a lot from the startup ecosystem, a recognition of the fact that no amount of performance marketing, bottom of the funnel work leads to disproportionate growth beyond a particular point. And I think that acknowledgement is great for our business, right? The work that has to be done on the top of the funnel, the fact that growth really comes from doing some of those basics, the principles of brand building right. You need brilliant, unexpected, salient work that gets noticed. Creativity is a critical ingredient of being able to do that. You have to invest a certain amount of money in media, which is shared. I won't call it mass media or digital media, but media that is seen by a certain number of people at one go to be able to create real impact. And that investing in that kind of work actually makes a difference to the realization of your performance marketing budgets as well. And a lot of startups, digital first businesses, are coming around to that view, which is why you're kind of seeing them when they're in growth mode also make the choice of investing in, let's say the IPL or in platforms that deliver real reach. What it means for people, I think it's at that mindset I talked about earlier, which is the humility to know that you have to learn new things and you have to be comfortable saying, I don't know how this works, and sometimes being open to working with different types of people and different types of partners, because it's a different world, right? We don't know all of it. On Johnson's Baby, for example, it's taken us 4 years to bring the business back to a certain level because of the recognition of the fact that high quality television commercials are not going to be enough. You have to do a lot of work with mommy communities and with bloggers. Now, what does that mean for people at the agency to let go of some of that territory, as it were, and being comfortable influencing it, even if you're not executing all of it, because there's someone better equipped to do it. I think that shift in mindset in the people is the biggest thing, that you have to be able to attract people who are willing to do things differently, let go where required, and design ways of working. Whether in our company, we also have, between brand and design, advertising, digital marketing, and media, we have all of these capabilities. And some clients want us to do, all pieces of those puzzle. How do we get people who are good at these, respective special areas to come together in a constructive way? Because the silos are not just at the client side and with external agencies, they also exist within agencies. It's very hard to shake that out. If your P&Ls are different, your leaders are incentivized to chase different things, getting them to sing off the same song book is not easy at all. So I think that is the single, more than the technical skills which are available, I think, in the market. I think that the attitude and that the culture of being able to work like this is what if we've had some success, it's because we've been able to drive that through the line between Rahul, me, and the rest of the leadership of the group.
Rahul, you know what? We just spoke about your being in some other agency in 1998 or whatever it is now. We can share at our age stories like that. And it was common for somebody to have worked on a brand for 5 years, 10 years. So there was personal knowledge and there was an institutional knowledge of a brand, which certainly did wonders for top of the funnel work. It may not be so much for bottom of the funnel. How much is that affecting you? The fact that you don't have people who stay, not you. The industry's got a problem with churn, especially with the younger lot. So suddenly you look around and say, is there anybody in this agency who's worked on any brand for 5 years? How do you deal with that?
Well, I would like to believe everything that we're in the way the world is functioning, or things are functioning, there's 50% luck. We can't take credit for everything. I think the other reason why it's becoming more is because options are more today, right? So you've got the young you've got to be more attractive. And I think that's really, if you ask them, what are we trying to do? We're trying to be more attractive. And there are many ways to be more attractive, whether it's with the kind of work you do, which is the first one, is the kind of working feel you get in the organization, which means how do you feel coming? What's the culture? What's the culture at play? Which is why culture is a huge conversation that we invest in. At the end of the day today, the one thing we have to be is more attractive than the 40 other options the person has today to choose from.
And part of it is that. Part of it is you have to offer people kind of a sight to growth. Yeah. Right? Nobody wants to be in a losing game, right? Young, good, ambitious people. Like you said, it's a great point. There's so much opportunity today. You cannot take for granted the fact that really bright people are going to stick around just because they like it, right? You have to be, which is why I think this focus at the agency on building a good culture, but also being a winning company, I think is extremely important. If we are not a winning company, if our work isn't the best in the market, if we aren't winning more pitches than we are losing, if our clients aren't growing, you're going to struggle with that talent piece as well. And Anant, to your point earlier on the churn, it's a problem not just at the agencies, it's also at the marketing side. So that's the opportunity, right? Because you see the amount of churn you see on the marketing side. One thing agencies should do when they're doing their job well is to be able to bring that consistency to the conversation on brand. And that's our game to lose. If we don't invest in it, we don't have people who are capable of being able to hold those conversations with senior folk at the client end. You have no one to blame except yourself.
And so one of the things that we're also very conscious about the fact is when you work with like-minded people, you also feel the need for, you feel a certain camaraderie, the need to stay. And I think finding people who really believe in creativity, that's been something we've been, I use the word creativity versus, and it's not a conversation about the creative department. This is a conversation about creativity. And it's really what DDB has believed in, not now, at its inception. So a time may have passed, but actually for us, a lot of things is going back to the basics of what DDB as a company was, and really the belief in creativity being not something that is going to be restricted to some people who hold a certain title, but to be the way we work. So because when everyone believes in the same thing, I feel that there's again more stickiness that you create in people wanting to stay there, because I do feel creative people are very, and I've used the word creative people, not as a department, but people who believe in creativity, are very wary about not finding it elsewhere. And they don't want to. That's the reason why for the longest time when you see, the concept behind bands sticking together, long back when you used to have the writer duos or when you have the music director duos, they used to sit together because unko lagta tha ki akele, what they're doing together, akele hoga nahi, ya kisi aur ke sath hoga nahi. That's why when you find partnerships, people end up sticking in that. Yeah. I think that's also what we're trying to build is how do you start getting people together who feel that this is what we are doing right now, it's because we're all together.
Aditya, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you the same question. You've spoken about stickiness, getting people together, retaining them. Now, I'm going to go to the flip, the reverse of it. So what are the 4 or 5 pieces of work that DDB has created in the last 4 or 5 years that will cause young people to say, I want to work on this brand in this agency? So there's basically a chance for 2 of you to plug and say, okay, this is why you should join DDB.
How much time do you have?
I said 4 or 5 pieces.
No, so listen, in all seriousness, it's the one thing I can say with kind of unequivocal confidence has changed at this company, and is there for everyone to see, right? So I'm going to start with my some of the pieces of work that I think signal that change quite dramatically. The work we've done on Stay Free in general, and I think specifically the work we did on Project Free Period and the more recent work on Daughter's Day is spectacular, not just because it's been recognized as such by the industry, but because it also has paved the way for the type of work we want to do, and the folks at J&J seeing it like that as well. And it's kind of helped drive real growth and business results for the Stay Free brand. I think our work on McDonald's with Equal, both the last edition and the more recent one, again, is work that we're very proud of. I would say our work on Hotstar over, I think, a 3-year, 4-year time frame in and around the IPL is work that we hold up with great pride, because the craft of the work in filmmaking is exceptional. The insight was strong, and again, it helped deliver 200-300 million people to that platform to watch the IPL. Some of our work on Spotify, I think, has been quite special. Over a 2-year, 3-year time frame, overlapping with the frame of reference that you've shared with us. So yeah, Rahul must be scrambling because
Rahul, from you, what I want is, you use the word effectiveness earlier in our conversation. Now tell me the most effective work that you're proudest of, and any creative work that you think Aditya has left out.
I would think our journey on Stay Free has been incredibly effective.
Right.
I think both from how the brand is doing in the market, from the point of view of the kind of consistency of brand. So I worked on Stay Free in 2 agencies, and I've seen that brand journey in 2 agencies. And I do feel that there is a certain belief in the brand that we have here, which is allowing us to see it as probably a brand which is full of opportunity. And I do think that, when a Stay Free brief is on the table, and the pressure is on us, because we really feel that, holy cow, we got to do something better than what we did last year. That would probably be a brand where we've had a very solid journey. But it's hard for me to say that's the only one. I think even Hotstar, we're talking about a brand where we've done the IPL communication for about 3 years. And we know the numbers of IPL that Hotstar has achieved year on year. Or for McDonald's, I mean, we've had a great journey with them even through the coming out of the pandemic, which was a great, it was a journey of bringing, customers back into stores. So which is a great effectivity story from that angle altogether. And also for the brand to stand for M3 Equal, we're really standing true for one of the global values of inclusivity for McDonald's, which is a great journey to be on. It's not like a journey we've done 1 year, we've done it now 2 years in a row, And to start it with something as simple as just the packaging is, we feel, a great story that we are part of, and we're grateful to be a part of it. I think it's amazing. The things which I would add for us in terms of how our product story has changed is really, I think the fact that we today feel that we can bring creativity into any medium. And second is probably our depth in craft. I think our width in our thinking and our depth in our craft is really what is helping us do a lot of the things that we are doing. I would throw in, the only piece I would throw in is our recent work on Battleground in terms of craft, which I think is quite fantastic. And I think what it's also doing is our partnerships are changing. We are actually working with a lot of young directors. We are often some of the first projects that they do before they become bigger, because that's our belief in young people and their creativity. We have regular partnership with some of the edgier partners, whether it's directors, whether it's photographers. And it's again because we believe in the fact that, and I think what brings us all together is our belief in the same quality and standard of creativity. And that's played a big role in helping us make our product look different from what it used to be.
No, I think that's a very serious point here, if I may. Anant picked up the fact that you are speaking about effectiveness. And it's true. I think this belief in unexpected works, and what we keep talking about the agency. I remember a conversation we had some time ago about, if you look at the work over the last 5 years, It's work that is actually making a difference to brands, and where there is a serious amount of investment in media, right? So this is quote unquote real work, right? Happening every day, getting produced at scale across the agency. So for us, that's standard. When we see it at the creative shows, you see where it's recognized for its craft and its intelligence and its beauty. But we're as serious about the effectiveness shows and about ensuring that if the work isn't working, our clients know that we acknowledge that, right? So we are in the slipstream of high growth clients, clients who are growing at a tear and leading their particular categories, or brands that require an intervention to bounce back, and we're a part of that story. So if you don't see those outcomes on brand tracks, you don't see those outcomes in market shares, you don't see those outcomes in the ability to realize a certain price for a client's product or service, then that work is useless, right? So while creativity is great, it's not an end in itself, and that whole thing of the works part of the equation of unexpected works is as important. You have to be concerned with the impact of the work that you're doing in market, and if that's not happening, you're wasting your time, right? And I think that clarity as a group, and recognizing that it's not some sideshow, the stuff that we're doing, to be recognized for creative, not sideshow, it's what we do. The marriage of creativity with results. Right. That's what we're about.
So last question, and I want an extremely short answer. How are you going to do it Curious? How are you going to do it Cannes? Since you brought up creative shows. Don't name brands.
Better than last year.
Yes, Rahul. Rahul, what's your answer?
Well, we had a fantastic last year.
Curious? Is your French visa, Shenzhen visa alive?
No.
Not yet.
We're not. We're actually one of the few agencies where I don't think we make as many trips to Cannes as our work does, and we do that.
Fantastic. I think that's a great way to end this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anant.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Melt. You can follow us on social media. Our handle is Ready to Melt, and stay updated with all that's happening in the world of advertising and marketing with our daily Melt update on our website, readytomelt.com. Goodbye.